We are delighted to be joined by the legendary Hall of Fame, former Chicago Bears head coach, Mike Ditka. Mike, I know you're down in Florida enjoying retirement. Thanks so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
So, Coach, just as you watch the NFL this season and just how unpredictable it's been, every underdog finding ways to win games. And, there's just been so many different storylines. And I'm not sure how closely you follow it right now, but just are you surprised that it's just been such a bizarre, wide open season?
No, these players are bigger, faster, stronger, period. So when you look at what they're doing on any given Sunday or any given day, one team can beat any other team. I don't care who you are. You see upsets because that's what it is. There's not going to be a team, I don't think, that's going to just roll through the league anymore. I mean, the scouting is too good. The coaching is too good. It's just not going to happen.
Coach, is there a team that you enjoy watching from your home in Florida?
Well, I follow the Bears, but I like all the teams. I mean, I look at players and I'm amazed. I'm amazed when I look at some of the players, how well they play, and at their age. I mean, it's pretty amazing to me. It's very special. I think football, of all the sports, it doesn't have a long life for the players, and if they can avoid getting hurt and keep themselves in the best shape, they can have a good career. It's a great sport. It's a fun sport to play if you don't get hurt. If you get hurt, it's not fun.
Well, Coach, you've had a long life in the game of football as a player, an assistant coach, a head coach, a broadcaster. Imagine now that you're retired, you have a little time to reflect back. Have you had an opportunity now that you've stepped back a little bit to look back and savor your career a little bit more?
Well, I really don't savor my career. I mean, the opportunity was there. I was fortunate. I had Hallis as a coach. I had Landry as a coach, one of the greatest ever. And then when I was fortunate that Tom hired me down at Dallas as an assistant coach. So I mean, I had great things happen in my life. I didn't plan it that way, but it worked out. And I'm very fortunate to be where I am and do what I've done. And I'm very proud of it.
As you should be. And I want to ask you about maybe the team you were most proud of, and that was the '85 Bears. We see defenses every year that are theoretically great defenses. Right now the Saints are pretty good. A year ago the Rams were pretty good, and the Bucs were great in the playoffs. But do any of these defenses even remotely compare to that '85 group?
Well, you can't play the defense we played anymore. They'll kill you. They'll spread you out. They'll kill you. And that's a fact. Nobody figured that out. What Buddy Ryan put in brought more people than you could block. It was simple. So we were going to get to the quarterback or put pressure on the quarterback. We had great defensive players, so that helped. And but you can't play that defense anymore. We call it the 46, and it really is a run defense, and it's a blitzing defense. But you can't do it. Teams right now, they would chew you up.
Yeah, absolutely it was. But when you see offenses now play the way they do, and it's such a pass-heavy league, do you enjoy watching it, or do you wish it was like it was in the old days? And you must cringe every time you see one of these little soft touch roughing the passer calls.
Well, they got to protect the quarterback. Quarterback's a big part of the game. I understand why they do it. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but I understand you. Quarterback is one of the focal points of the team, the main focal one, actually. And so when you got to keep them healthy, you got to keep them on the field. I mean, what would it be if you didn't have some of the quarterbacks we have in the league today? It's important to keep those guys on their feet. When you don't have a quarterback, you got problems.
Coach, who's the greatest quarterback you ever saw? Played with, played against, coached for?
Well, that's unfair. I played with a guy that you don't know, a guy named Bill Wade, who was the greatest quarterback in my eyes because he loved to throw the football to me. And I managed a whole bunch of passes and a lot of touchdowns. But that was Bill. But I earned his trust because he knew I would go get the ball wherever we threw it. There's so many. I mean, I look at these quarterbacks today, and I don't know, but they're all pretty special. And you look at Brady, and you say, well, is it Brady, or is it coaching, or is it the players around him? A little bit of everything.
Coach, you were the first tight end to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So let's ask you about that position, right? And when you see the way it's evolved and tight ends now go out and they split out into the slot and you see some of these guys like whether it's Kelsey or Kittle do so many special things, what do you think about those athletes playing that position now?
Well, they're bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, that's all I can tell you. They're bigger, faster, and stronger. Now, I played when John Mackey played. John Mackey was a great football player. I was a pretty good football player. These guys today, athletically, physically, they're very superior to us.
Last thing I'll ask you before we let you go. You played in Chicago, and that is a passionate football market. When you see what's happened to Matt Nagy, and they've lost a few games in a row, he's really on the hot seat. And I'm not going to ask you to break down the Bears, but just what's he going through, and do you see a scenario where he can survive this?
He's a great guy, a great coach. It's his life. What he does, whatever he enjoys doing. Of course, he's going to be broken down. I mean, he's going to. It's sad when you see your team, whoever it may be, whether it be the Rams or the Packers or who, not be able to do what they're trying to do. And the Bears right now, they're struggling a little bit. I think they got some talent there. I think they're going to get better.
Well, Coach, we really thank you for doing this, and hopefully the Bears can give Chicago a little bit of its restored glory as far as football fans are concerned. Thanks again. Enjoy retirement, and hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Fairways and greens in Naples, Coach. God bless.
All right. Thank you. God bless.
That's Hall of Fame head coach Mike Ditka. And just so if you don't know how Moj developed a relationship with him, his coach was coming into town at one point to do a speaking engagement. Bob went and picked him up, took him to City Cigars, hung out, had a few stogies with him, and they've been friends ever since.
We kind of knew each other from the Super Bowl, and it was ironic because when I first met Mike Ditka, actually, was at the PEMCO clinic in Seattle, a coach's clinic.
Yep.
And we were at this press conference in Tampa for the very first Super Bowl that I was at, and I was asking Coach, I said, hey, Coach, do you mind giving me a couple minutes? I remember seeing you in Seattle. I remember ACE. That was his acronym. Attitude, character, and enthusiasm. And we just kind of hit it off, and the next thing you know, it's the cigar parties and such. And yeah, and then, of course, when the Canucks played the Blackhawks for 3 years in a row in the playoffs, we always wound up going to Ditka's restaurant, and Mike was always there, and he'd always give us the gears because of course, the Canucks would wind up losing to the Blackhawks all those years. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the first time I met him, you introduced me to him when you brought him along, right? Because we had a bunch of media down there in Chicago, so that was a lot of fun. But good catching up with him.